is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we're going to talk about migrating and switching kingdoms. Should you go to an older kingdom? Should you go to a younger kingdom? And should you come to Kingdom 75? Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about kingdom migration, and we're going to try to sell you on coming to Kingdom 75, but also give some generally good advice to help you as you're making your own choices. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, consider smashing the subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. With us today, we have none other than the person who is normally wearing the crown, King of the Kingdom, Negan. Hello and welcome.
Hey there.
And in addition, we've got Jgrnaut, who you've seen get rallied 5x by Attila Takeda, card up in the top. He migrated to the kingdom before the last season of KVK and is sitting around 250 million power. We wanted you to hear his voice as well. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, my ninjas.
Oh my goodness, ninjas. We're going to be talking about migration, older kingdoms, younger kingdoms, where should you go and why, and maybe you'll come to Kingdom 75 because although we are an Imperium kingdom, that means we are in the top 32 kingdoms by power, looking at our top 300 players. We can still recruit players under 35 million power, and it's my goal to help you figure out if you're 35 million power or under, whether or not you might want to come here or where might be a better fit for you. So gentlemen, help us answer this question. What is the advantage of going to an older kingdom like in Kingdom 75 versus a younger kingdom?
I think that the biggest advantage to going to an older kingdom is twofold. Number one, you get access to the newest commanders first. And number two, you're getting access to the newest events first. So if you really like to be at the forefront of what's new and exciting versus, waiting for months or longer to get it, then this is definitely the place to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Even back when I was at 129, I used to hate, a year or so ago, I used to hate having to watch Kingdoms 1, 2, 3, 4, get those early commanders. So I couldn't even imagine how it would be now with some of these really younger kingdoms that have commanders locked and can't do a lot of stuff. I've always been sort of the type of guy that wants to see the movie on opening weekend and not wait for it to come out on Netflix. And that's kind of like what we've got here. We get to sort of push the edge, try new events, try new combos, fail a little bit. It's exciting. Once you know how everything works, then you're pulling up a YouTube video, and your videos are great, Chiz, but you're pulling it up and you're just walking through the motions. There's no fun in that, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two different types of fun, right? Like there's a sort of fun that comes with knowing what the answer already is because it's been done before. And that's fun in a collection game. You work on the things that are known to be really good. And I make guides that help with that. Shameless plug, card on the top for my Legendary Commander investment order. However, I think there's also fun being on the forefront. In the season of Kingdom versus Kingdom when Attila Takeda had just landed, people didn't know how to counter it, us included. Like, we were using Richard the First to defend because, in our testing, it came out on top, but there were flaws with how we were testing. But the point is that it wasn't all solved. It wasn't all known. We had to figure it out as we went along, and that is also a lot of fun. And I think for us, that's the sort of fun that we really enjoy. Now, one thing that I think is worth differentiating between an older kingdom and a younger kingdom, and maybe you can speak briefly to your experience on this, is the level of organization of the kingdom.
Let me jump in on that one first, Negan. Because I came here, like Chiz said a little bit. I came here right before the last KVK, back in March. And I'd been in another kingdom for a while. I'd been in two others before that, briefly, back around KVK 1. And the thing when you come to the older kingdoms, they've worked through a lot of the kinks. There's no need to recreate the wheel. You've got big Discord bases. You've got good communication lines. You've got good shells for the alliances to spread around so that everybody's maximizing your gathering, maximizing your training. You've got around the clock title givers. You've got full-time kingdom buffs that are going every day. And these are all things like the sacrifices everyone's kind of making for the whole, which is just great to see. Where, I came here partially because I didn't want to be the only guy trying to carry the water all the time. And you don't. You can, sometimes you're helping everybody else. Sometimes you just fade the background. And as a new guy that came in, It was nice to come in and see, like, this isn't some old boys club. That, it's not like locked in with the people they hear from the beginning. It's really open from what I've seen, regardless of levels of power. Um, everyone's just trying to help each other out as best they can, and that's a great thing that you see in an old kingdom and an old king, at least in this old king.
There's a lot of opportunity to step up and lead here, or to sit back and enjoy the fact that things are have a lot of thought put into how they're organized. We've got some people that have stepped up and they're running tournaments and organizing dual zones. Even right now, we've got even sometimes twice daily kingdom buffs. So if you're under 35 million power, this could be a pretty cool place to grow in a kingdom that's well organized, has a lot of kingdom buffs, times the guardians to maximize getting runes, so you get the absolute best benefit possible every time something comes around. And to your point, even fires off the resource buff in between all those other fancy buffs that we use. If the kingdom is well organized, what is in it for these players that we're looking for that are under 35 million power? Where would they expect to go if they were to come to our kingdom? What should they be looking for if they go to any kingdom? I know our Man Alliance has typically a 35 million power minimum. So where would they sort of show up, and what should they expect?
Well, so the way that we manage who gets into the main alliance is really driven around KVK participation. And so if you're new here, unless you're a whale, which is not what this video is about, it's for your average player. If you're an average player, we have 2 to 3 different good, active, max tech alliances that are in Zone 3 that we're looking to fill with more players. And so you'll have a good home, for the between KVK times. During KVK, none of the alliances matter. And what I mean by that, because you haven't experienced that wherever you've been or wherever you are. During KVK, the alliances don't even matter. They become just shells, and people move pretty fluidly between different alliances, just depending on, where the action is, or, when the ruins are happening. And, we might kick half of the wolf people out because they're not online, and then that'll make room for someone from another alliance to come in and fight alongside of us. Or maybe we're using a different shell as the battlefield, for fighting for territory, whatever the case may be. And then at the end of KVK, we will evaluate overall kingdom participation. And, we talk about organization. That's a great time to point out, for you to maybe understand the level of organization that we have. Is we literally tracked the activity of every single person in the kingdom. Their deads, their kills, their RSS contributions, kills by T5 versus T4 even, to really know what every single person has done. I mean, that's the level of organization that we have. And then we use that information to decide who gets, the best end rewards. B, to decide, are the people that are historically in Wolf, should they stay? Are they up to par with what we expect? And lastly, are there some other people from other alliances that would be better served to be in Wolf on a more full-time basis? So you have those opportunities to come in, join a good active alliance, prove yourself, and step up to be in the main alliance on a regular basis fairly quickly if you're interested.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give the example of Ruse, who is now an officer in our alliance. And although right now he's wearing an R3 title because he's not online, his max power was 30.6 million. He sent about 2 million T4 troops to die. And, he joined the Man Alliance as a result of his KVK contributions, both sending his troops to battle, but also his leadership involvement as well. And there was a pretty clean and clear path for him to just step up and do stuff, which is something we try to create as much as possible. Now, what I will say is either going to be an upside or a downside of our kingdom, depending on how you look at it, is that there are some very important rules that we've established that we think make a kingdom more combat ready. But we know some people, like, they get here and they realize this is how we do things, and they don't necessarily like it. Others really enjoy it. And that is that we sometimes arrange that very important loot go to certain places. And there's two types of loot that probably are worth mentioning. There's the mightiest governor cycles, and then also the barbarian camps and keeps. Gentlemen, you want to talk about that a little bit?
What we're trying to accomplish with the mightiest governor is, someone like Juggernaut is a great example where if he wants to win, he's going to win. I mean, he's going to put up 100 million points if he needs a certain commander. And we have 10 Juggernauts that'll all do that to get a commander. And rather than everyone killing each other, not literally, but killing each other, trying to get to that first place ranking and spending a bunch of resources and spending a bunch of speed ups just to beat each other when we're really all on one team, we actually will rig the MGs. And so what we do is, we look at our T5 players and we try to make a fair distribution. And we're actually tweaking that a little bit into the new commanders that are about to come out, where now that it looks like Lilith is only doing 5 or maybe 6 MG cycles, at least 5 it looks like, we're only going to rig the first 4. And then what we're going to do is, if you've already gotten a certain number of heads out of those first 4, you can't compete or you can't rank highly for the 5th one and or the 6th one. So that way, what it does is it gets those valuable heads into the hands of somebody like Juggernaut or Chiz or any of the other great people that we have in our kingdom that can not only be rally leaders, but have the extra heads to just max those commanders immediately. I mean, we want someone who's going to win the first mightiest governor and then max that commander immediately thereafter. So that way we can go test it, see if it's any good, try it in different situations. And that way more people can then, not only for Chiz's videos, but just that way other people in our kingdom can decide, ooh, do I want this person or do I not want this person? And, so over the first 4 MGs, we get those top 10 spots, if you will, into the hands of the most useful people for them. And then after that, we're going to still keep it capped because we don't want people going too crazy for training. But, kind of open it up to where more people can have it. So that way, even a migrator could potentially have an opportunity if they wanted to put up a bunch of points to get there. And the end goal for all of this, if you're listening to this and you're saying, well, why would you do this? What's the point of that? And the reason is that there are events that are better served for Juggernaut to go all in on, and I'm just picking on him because he's on the call. There are better events served for him or Chiz or whoever to go all in and put up 100 million points. And those are the events like the Inter-Kingdom Power event, where you get a particular city skin, where you want to make sure that the people from your kingdom are number 1. Eve of the Crusade training, where you're trying to, compete against other kingdoms. The Light versus Darkness events that are now happening, where there's a training stage and a speed up stage. We want to make sure that, people have the resources and speed ups to use for those events. So if we can, work together and, rig or stage our MG rankings so people like Juggernaut or Chiz or anyone else, can save resources and speed ups, they can use it for other events that can better the whole kingdom and not just themselves. And the fact that people that we have such conscientious whales in our kingdom is, I think, a testament to how great our kingdom is that, there's someone like Juggernaut who could just say, nah, I want first, I don't care, and just put up 100 million every time. But instead, he's looking at the better situation for the kingdom, which is for 4 people to get first, and for him to save his resources for things that are better for the whole kingdom and not just for himself.
People thought that when the Mighty Governor cycles were getting arranged, that was going to be less diversity, not more. But it's definitely, we get more diversity in the distribution of those sculptures so that more players who are the most active fighters. And that's how that's decided. Not arbitrarily, not just based on conversations, but we actually look at the data from the prior KVK and say, like, hey, who contributed? And what do we expect that future contribution to continue to look like in deciding where those sculptures end up?
Well, and even just to that point, looking at who is helping the kingdom the most. So as just a brief example, our next MG that's coming up, we expect to be the new commanders. And we're actually looking backwards at who ranked in the top 10 for Eve of the Crusade training. Yep. And those 10 people get the first 10 spots of the new commander, because even the crusade was kind of a selfless act, for the most part, where you're trying to help your kingdom put up some good points to get the best buffs possible, and those people that contributed highly to that are getting recognized now for the first MG of a new commander. So there's lots of ways that we track that type of information to make sure that the commanders are getting in the hands of the people that are helping the kingdom the most, not just themselves.
I think that makes a ton
Yeah.
of sense. And Juggernaut, I'll let you jump in to maybe talk about the camps and keeps, because I know I'll put a card up in the top where we've talked a bit about this mighty governor arranging. We want you to know, if you come here, it's a thing we do. And even though we've been really clear about that, some people get here and they're like, "God, it's arranged. What the heck?" And it's like, come on, we've been really vocal. So we want to be really clear that that's a thing. And one thing we realized in the middle of the last KVK and kind of toward the end was that, like, gosh, there's some gear that actually, if we had this in the hands of the people who could make it right away if they had the pattern. And I'll give an example here. Delane's Amulet, simple thing. You might not have thought much of it before. At the time that we were in the last KVK, it was minus 10% counterattack damage and plus 3% normal attack damage. Well, card up in the top, when Juggernaut and I were doing double rallies, we were battling against a Charles Martel Constantine garrison. Now, I was taking the majority of the damage. I was the tank rally. I had my Attila Takeda doing work. And that means that Juggernaut's rally, the second rally, is only taking counterattack damage. So if Juggernaut had made this piece, and all he needed was the pattern, he had the materials. If Juggernaut had made this piece, and if he had had the special talent, for instance, it would have been minus 13% counterattack damage. That's basically like 13% less dead troops, because all he was taking was counterattack damage. That would have been millions less dead troops for the kingdom. And I mention that because coming out of KVK, we sort of changed the way we thought about these barbarian camps and keeps. And, Juggernaut, I'll let you describe this a little bit.
Yeah, and you're just doing that because you're rubbing it in, because I've been farming these things for a week and my brain's about to explode.
Yeah, you've spent more time than anyone I know, except maybe Spartan, running around doing these things.
Spartan's got the trophy. I'm not even close to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. And so what you said, Chiz, is spot on. There's a lot of, materials. And there's a guy who followed me around, and we did a couple of these camps together in the various keeps. And he had 2 silent trial of full blueprints there. He can't build anything. He doesn't have the materials. He's not going to have them for a long time. And he had them from way back. I don't know if he migrated here with them or if he got them in this kingdom previously. And that just doesn't do anybody any good. And so instead, we try to figure out those rally leaders, the garrison commanders, big field fighters. They can use Dark Lords. They can use Eternal Night. They can use Silent Trial. They can use Delanes and the rest of that. And get them out there and start testing them, see how often they proc and the rest of that too. So we know more about it and we learn more. But also, the thing that I really liked about this is as everybody's going through all the keeps and everybody's going through the camps, for the vast majority of folks, if you're seeing the greens drop, you're seeing the shields drop, or you're seeing the Phoenix helms or the gloves or whatever else might be, and I'm looking for just the silent trials, I'm leaving everything else there. So I'm doing these camps, and you'll have 2 or 3 other people that are parked there too, and they're just waiting for all the mobs to get killed, and then they're picking up the other stuff. So it's trickling down all the way across the board to all those other players. The unintended consequence of sort of us working together to set up our rally leaders and our garrison commander players is that everybody is getting more equipment more easily of what they need. And so we know certain players are looking for the shield or the helm. And you're posting it out there and people leaving them there for it to get done. And that's also, to jump back on what Negan's saying, that's the unintended consequence of the MGE as well. If you had Gaius and me and King Talib and Hulk and 5 or 6 others all fighting for the MGE, and the bottom number to be in the top 15 is 100 million, then only those whales are getting stuff. But because we're capping out the limits, what you're seeing is those people that can get 5 or whatever, I can't remember the number of heads you get, but from 15 down is opened up to all these mid-level players. And you really see a lot of competition of them trying to work within that 20, whatever the cap is that time, 20 million, 25, 50 million, whatever it is. During the KE, and the training. And you see some little competition there as those move up in those small areas. And so you're even seeing more heads that spread around too. Um,
Yeah.
I came here and I was super impressed with all of it, and I didn't think I would be. I was one of those guys you said before that's come here and be like, "What the hell? I can't get all the heads I want." And but it's really made a lot of sense, all from top to bottom.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of thing that people said, like, you can't do that when we started doing it. That'll never work. And now we have dozens of kingdoms that reach out to me personally that ask for the intricate details of, like, how exactly does that go? Because we want to start doing that too. And more kingdoms are moving in that direction because they see the real advantage of awarding the players that are contributing the most rather than the ones that spend the most. And the perfect example of the opposite direction of that is, kind of Solomar, not to pick on him, but, 400 million power, didn't do anything in KVK, and then got zeroed at the end of KVK and lost all, 350 million power beyond just his tech and his buildings. So, we try to get things into the hands of players that can actually use that. And, to that end, the barbarian camps and keeps right now, we've got a sort of system that enables, I would say, the rally leaders and counter rally leaders and garrison captains to have priority on some of those pieces they actually could make right now if only they had the pattern. And we'll open that up more broadly for everybody to co-consume after we've got that in place, because for the kingdom, that means millions upon millions upon millions less dead troops. And although we aren't going into a KVK yet, hopefully anytime soon, I mean, I don't know, I'd actually kind of like to go into a KVK again soon. It's nice that we're doing that preparation now. So for the players that are under 35 million, if you've heard all of this and you're like, hey, I like the way y'all are organized, I enjoyed listening to leaders from this kingdom speak, and it sounds like the kind of folks that I would be interested in playing with. I like the level of organization that you bring to things, and boy, do we spend a lot of time organizing and getting the details right. What should people do if they want to come to this kingdom?
Two parts to that, Chiz, that I want to just bring up is, number one, we have a special Discord set up just for what we're calling the Growth Project. And it doesn't matter whether you're under 35 or over 35, you can join this Discord, and Chiz will post the link for it. And one of the main things that is in that Discord is a full list of kind of how we do things. Part of what we've already talked about MGs and barb camps, but, kind of our broad, I don't like to say rules because that really just makes it sound more strict than it is, but just the way that we play in this kingdom. Whether it's MGs or barb keeps and a dozen other things that you can kind of check out before you even think about coming here, just to make sure that you like the sound of all of it. So the first thing that I would do is join that Discord. You can pick your power level and it'll kind of route you to the right place. It's something that's very in depth. It'll give you kind of all the expectations that we set for the kingdom. And then if you're still interested, then, one of the leaders from the various alliances will reach out to you and make sure that you're on board and already have a home ready to go. And then you can migrate on in and you'll already have an alliance ready to welcome you in.
And this is something about our kingdom. It should be about whatever kingdom you go, old kingdom, new kingdom, but particularly here. This is a game. We know it's a game, and we want people to have fun. And that's something I've seen a lot here. It's something I used to like. In my old 129 for a while, it seemed like, it got away from it for a little bit for some people, and people migrated in and out. But we want people to have fun. We want people to have a good time, respect each other. And you see that. You see it in the kingdom chat. You see it in the various alliance chats when I bounce around. People are, and the Discord for sure, people are having a good time. They're laughing with each other, cracking up, and they're having a generally good time. And that's the goal. Even when things get kind of heated, and like in that last KVK, we had really 2 or 3 times about 8 or 10 hour periods where it was heavy fighting. And it was fun. People were having a good time, even those situations, and in between. Because, we all know this about Lilith in this game. There's a lot of dead time in between. And I think Chiz or Negan said it earlier, people are finding ways with dual tournaments and things like that to keep people having a good time. And that's the goal. That's the goal of this kingdom. And so wherever you go, whether it's here or somewhere else, make sure you're going to go somewhere where you're going to have a fun time.
Yeah. All round.
And really, what all of this boils down to, is yes, it's a game, and there's no question about that. But people spend they invest a lot into it, and not just money. It's not just about money. It's about time. I mean, this is a game people spend hours and hours playing just because there's so many different things that you could do, and it's about working, smarter, not harder with your time, and building up the best thing for yourself and your alliance and your kingdom, and so that way the time that you put into it is rewarded with victories on the battlefield and victories with whatever the kingdom's trying to achieve. So
Perfectly said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smarter, not harder.
If you've got any questions, thoughts, or comments, leave them down below in the description. We'll have a link that can take you to the Discord that Negan had mentioned earlier if you're interested in coming to Kingdom 75. I had just mentioned this in a couple of my other videos. We've already had a couple dozen folks that were under 25 million power show up. Now the limit is 35 million power and under for Imperium. That came in the very last patch. And so if you're interested in joining us and you're under 35 million power, I would encourage you to go to the Discord first, check out that full sort of description that Negan was sharing with us earlier that shares like kind of how we like to play the game. That way you know what you're getting into. And if you think you'll be happy here, and we hope you will, then come on in. The water's fine. We would love to have you and to grow our community of players. We're going to head out for now. I'll be eager to hear whether or not you're headed to an older kingdom or a younger kingdom. Pros and cons to those activities. You gain relative strength if you go to a younger kingdom and you've played your account longer. You lose relative strength, but hopefully end up somewhere a whole heck of a lot more organized if you go to an older kingdom that is well run. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.